Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to the channel World of Wrestling. Here today to discuss about AEW Dynamite August 11th, 2021. This was a good show. It was a good, solid show. Pittsburgh, I gotta give the Pittsburgh crowd credit. They were loud, electric, full of energy, and they made this show 10 times better than it actually was in the ring. That main event definitely proved it. Wardlow and Chris Jericho, I have to say, were very off with each other in this match tonight. They didn't dance very well together in this match. Wardlow made a few mistakes. Jericho made a few mistakes during this match, one of which I remember clearly. Wardlow tried to do a power bomb and he almost fucked up and dropped Jericho right on his skull. So they had to redo the spot while in motion, while still in, like, Jericho's legs is wrapped around Wardlow's head, and I guess there was some miscommunication. Jericho must have been assuming he was going to counter the power bomb into a hurricanrana, and Wardlow figured he was supposed to be delivering the power bomb, and they both were trying to do two different things instead of following the other person, which really sucked. It was very terrible, very noticeable too, of a botch. Quite frankly, I mean, they didn't do very well together. That's all I can say about that. MJF was great on the outside. He tried to do everything he could to help Wardlow win the match. Unfortunately, he lost. The ending of the show, MJF announced that the match is going to take place next week, and the match cannot be won with a Judas effect. So in order for Jericho to beat MJF, he's got to either hit him with a lion salt, walls of Jericho, or a code breaker. And that's all he's got left for a finisher. Now, lion salt is not going to exactly put MJF away. That'd be very terrible. Personally, I don't see MJF losing this match. They cannot make MJF lose this match with a stipulation without the Judas effect being able to be used for Jericho to close out the match. If this was just a straight up one-on-one match with no, with just pure wrestling, I would be okay with MJF losing to Jericho with a Judas effect or something like that. But with that maneuver removed from his wrestling his wrestling moves and so forth, it really puts Jericho behind the eight ball a lot. I don't want to see MJF tap out to Jericho at all. So the walls of Jericho would not work. The code breaker, you had Wardlow kick out of the code breaker in one. You're going to have Jericho win with the code breaker against MJF? That's fucking stupid. Plain and simple, it's very easy to predict Jericho's going to lose this match to MJF, giving the passing of the torch metaphorically to MJF as a way of saying MJF is the new star in AEW. That's the way I see it at this point. Let's see here. What else took place on this show without even looking at this results on WrestlingZone.com? We had an announcement right after the very first match. Let me just go right through this, make this a little easier on myself. Start right from the very beginning. We had Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks teaming together in a 6-man tag team match to kickstart the show against the Sydal brothers, Matt and Mike Sydal, and the Dante Martin, who's also part of a tag team. I think his tag team partner's either out with injury or they just didn't have him on the show for this event. They were called the Flyers or something like that. Very young tag team. Dante Martin is actually only fucking 20 years old, they said. And this guy could move in this match. He was doing a lot of high-flying maneuvers that I don't ever see a lot of the high-flying superstars do at all. This guy was doing some outrageous shit. I can imagine this guy making it as a singles competitor, possibly. But him and I believe it's his brother. Yeah, I believe they're brothers. And they're a really good tag team. I've seen them perform. I forgot what his brother's name was, but man, they are a really good tag team, and I hope that they put them back on television and actually become legit tag team contenders for the world tag titles. But yeah, Dante Martin did very well in this match, really stood out. He actually ate the L, though, unfortunately, with a triple knee trigger, the elite knee trigger. It ended with Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks simultaneously hitting a knee trigger on Dante Martin, as well as I believe a One-Wing Angel was performed during this match. But man, this 6-man tag team match took a lot of the time on the very first hour. Very good shit. Great 6-man tag team wrestling here. They were doing quite a bit 6-man tag team wrestling, actually. I'm glad that they did the right thing by the tag team champions and the world champion by having them win that match. That would have been really fucking stupid, but AEW doesn't do that kind of crap. I'm expecting too much failure because of what WWE has done to wrestling, so it becomes a habit, but AEW is helping out with breaking that habit, so that's a good thing. What else? Immediately following the match, they're sitting there, they're celebrating the Elite, and out comes Christian Cage. Christian Cage has been announced for All Out. It will be for the World Championship. But on Rampage's debut show, we are going to see Kenny Omega defend the Impact World Championship as well against Christian Cage. I don't know if this is a good idea or not. It's kind of like watching a world champion go one-on-one with the future challenger for their world title in a non-title match, if you really want to get technical. You get Kenny Omega to beat Christian Cage, retaining his Impact World title. It really makes things a little fucking stupid, because what's the point of the match at All Out? That is my questioning towards that idea. I don't really like the idea. I like the idea that it's a world championship match to kickstart to Rampage's first episode, which I think a lot of people will tune in for. But I hope people understand that if you're watching this, you're really going to get what you're going to get at All Out, more than likely. I mean, it's going to be the end result. I don't see Kenny Omega losing the Impact World Championship at all. If he ain't losing the World Championship for AEW, he ain't losing the Impact World Championship either. There's no fucking way. Personally, I kind of felt like you could really look at Kenny Omega, since AEW is trying to put all these promotions as an alliance, as one big giant wrestling group, willing to work together for a greater cause for pro wrestling and make it popular again. Instead of being competition to each other, they're working together as allies and just trying to make wrestling entertaining again. So with that kind of mindset, you kind of look at the fact that Kenny Omega has all these championships, and if you look at boxing's mentality, boxing has 3-4 major world championships in each weight class in professional boxing. You got the WBA, the WBO, the WBC, and the IBF, and so forth. those 4 titles I just mentioned are the top-notch belts you want to have in pro boxing. In boxing. So if you have all 4 of those belts, you are the undisputed champion of your weight class. You could definitely look at the same way with this situation with Kenny Omega. He is the undisputed world champion in professional wrestling. The only thing he's missing is the Universal and WWE Championship, but they're looked at as the redheaded stepchild because of the way they act. So you can't really even count them in. They don't like to play with others. So who fucking cares about them at this point, especially with this being Wednesday night? Bottom line, yes, we are seeing Christian Cage getting a shot at one title and then going to get another shot at another title, which is the AEW World Championship at All Out. So it's a very predictable match. I don't see Christian Cage winning either one of those championships. I'd be very shocked if they give the title to Christian Cage. It would be interesting to see him back on Impact Wrestling, but doubt that's going to happen. And I don't think he's going to win the AEW World Championship whatsoever. This is just going to be a fun match for Christian Cage to be in a main event spot on a major promotion on a bigger platform than he was in a main event world title match in Impact Wrestling back in the day in TNA. TNA, they would only get like 5,000 to 6,000 people at a pay-per-view event when they were actually in front of larger crowds. AEW is on a whole nother level, man. They're fucking performing in front of 10 to 15,000 people per episode, and on pay-per-views, no different. So I can expect to see at least 10 to 15,000 people at the Now Center or the Now Arena. I don't know how many people the capacity is, but I'm pretty certain it's at least 10,000 people, which is a lot of people to begin with. Especially with a company that's been around for only a year and a half, going on 2 years. Man, that's pretty fucking impressive. So yeah, that was pretty much the situation with that. A lot of good, entertaining stuff there. The first 30 minutes of the show is just off the fucking hook. Also, it was mentioned during this promo that Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus are going to challenge for the AEW World Tag Team titles next week on Dynamite. I got to admit, I don't know if you guys would agree with me on this idea, but I think the Jungle Express need to win the tag team titles this coming Wednesday. I think next Wednesday they need to win the tag team titles from the Young Bucks on Dynamite. It's a big win. I know that's a little too soon. It's just a few weeks before the pay-per-view. I mean, you could do a rematch between these two. There's no harm in doing something like that. The Young Bucks, based on their reign, they have reigned for 6 months or so. They've had a really good run with the tag team titles. They've faced a lot of opponents, defeated them. So if they were to lose these tag team titles, a rematch would not be a bad idea because they've earned that. They've retained those titles multiple times. So they're not like some paper champion asking for a rematch just because they won the championships in the first place and then ultimately lose the tag titles later on in just a few short weeks. That's not what they did in this reign. They really did a good job. The problem is they have not been highlighting the tag team division as well as they were last year and the year before that in 2019 when they started AEW, which is kind of surprising. That's what their whole wrestling thing was based on, tag team wrestling. Now it's been all about 6-man tag team wrestling, which is not a problem, but there's one problem. There's no 6-man tag team titles in this company yet, so who gives a shit? We don't need to see that more than the tag team wrestling. Come on. And I'm not huge on multiple tag team wrestling matches. Don't get me wrong here. I like singles competition more, but tag team wrestling is a fun thing to watch. But to see it on every single match, no, I don't particularly like that so much. Would I have a problem with the tag team titles ever being on a main event of a pay-per-view one day? Hell no, I wouldn't have a problem with that at all, as long as those tag team titles are in a program that really means something and make it as a main event type of thing. But at the end of the day, guys, I don't want to see tag team wrestling on every single on the entire card. That's just fucking ridiculous, which is what they were doing before. They're not finding a happy medium, in my opinion. I kind of feel that they haven't found that happy medium with tag team wrestling so much, which brings a problem to it, because they have a shit ton of great tag team wrestling in their company. And they could really make the tag team titles the equivalent or as important as a world championship with the kind of tag team division they have. Probably the best tag team division in all pro wrestling right now. I don't think even New Japan Wrestling has a good tag team division. I think they just throw some guys together when their tag team division's low on tag teams and just throw them in there, and that's it. If they got nothing else for them to do. I'm not sure. I haven't watched it in a while, about a year or so. So I don't know jack shit what's going on in New Japan. And Impact Wrestling, forget it. They're as bad as fucking WWE's tag team divisions. Fucking terrible. Alright, so next is a segment with Malachi Black reflecting on his win over Cody Rhodes and says he has done everything he said he would. He notes that Rhodes has one foot in the grave right now, thanks to him, and it won't stop from there. So that was a good promo by Malachi Black. I definitely see Malachi Black very soon becoming a main event player in this company. Most definitely. He should have been a main event player in fucking WWE the moment he got on the main roster and they didn't do nothing with him. Adam Cole's in the same situation. If he re-signs with WWE, God help him if he does. If he does and he's put on the main roster, I really hope Vince McMahon has all the intentions to make him a main event player, because if he's not, he's just wasting the guy's time. And that's what Vince McMahon does. So that's my recommendation to Adam Cole. Vince McMahon wastes your time. Do not sign. You have very limited time in your life to waste it with someone who's not going to, value your time, man. The guy's 32 years old. He's a year younger than me. I can't believe I'm actually a year older than him. Guy looks older than me. I thought he was in his mid-30s or something. He's actually 32, I believe. And, if you do a 5-year contract, you're looking at 37, 38 when you are done with your contract. That's most of your career gone down the toilet if you haven't done nothing with it. AEW is the place to go. Ring of Honor would be another place for him to go back to. New Japan Wrestling is another great place. They would value him very much and utilize him correctly. This guy deserves to be main event status. Bottom line, he carried NXT on his back, hands down. So, personally, I want to see him in AEW. That's where he fits. AEW fits his type of style of wrestling and his personality. That's the way I look at it. I know I'm kind of talking about something that has nothing to do with Dynamite, but has to do with AEW, so that's just my thoughts on it and where I feel he belongs. I'm pretty sure everyone else feels the same way. I don't think it's any secret everybody wants him in AEW. So, anyway, Daniel Garcia went one-on-one with Darby Allin. This was a decent match. Darby Allin won with a coffin drop for the win, and that was that. Next thing that took place, let's see here. Can't remember all this shit off of the top of my head. That's why I got this damn thing listed, this website up. I don't actually take notes while I watch the show. So I apologize to you guys. But yeah, I'm not particularly interested in taking notes. I can memorize what took place in the matches, but I can't remember the entire match card and everything else. So apologize about that. All right, Orange Cassidy, Wearer, Yuta, and Chuck Taylor in another 6-man tag team match against Matt Hardy, Private Party, with the Bunny, the Blade, Jack Evans, and Helico. Matt Hardy actually picks up the victory with the Twist of Fate against Wheeler Yuta, I believe is how you pronounce his name. He wins that match with that maneuver and gets the 1, 2, 3. Backstage, we had Andrade and Chavo Guerrero call Pac ungrateful. Andrade tells Pac to be careful and that he is challenging him for a one-on-one match at All Out and to find out who is the real boss. I don't know why they're doing that, but whatever. All right, so we have Ortiz and Santana discussing more about the feud with FTR and make it clear that it's not over at this point. They showed even a more a bigger close-up, a real close-up of what happened to Cash Wheeler. Man, that was disgusting to see, man. I didn't really notice that. I mean, I noticed he got his arm cut from a piece of metal behind the turnbuckle, but holy shit, man, his skin got caught to it, and it looked like it was going to rip his entire skin. It looked like it was going to skin him, basically. Well, I thought we were going to witness a fucking horror show on national broadcast television. Holy shit. I didn't even notice that when they had the match. I just thought he had an injury that took him out of action or something. I didn't know he ripped his fucking skin off. Last week I found out, but I never really saw how he got that. I just saw that he went in that corner and raped his arm bad. I know that he cut his arm, but they didn't really show a good shot of it till tonight. I was very surprised by that. That was fucking brutal. But hey, what are you gonna do, man? That was fucking nasty as hell, though. Nyla Rose went up against Chris Statlander, and Chris Statlander wins the matchup. She actually pulls off the victory with a 450 splash. Very nice maneuver, by the way. She looked really good at the end of this match with that maneuver, and she closed out the match and got the victory. So kudos to her. Vicky Guerrero is very fucking annoying. I don't know who's more annoying as a ring manager, Vicky Guerrero or Stephanie McMahon. I mean, they both scream very loud. Very loud. Vicky Guerrero is probably worse than Stephanie, but Stephanie is like a whiny little bitch. She fucking annoyed the shit out of me back in the day when I was a kid and I used to watch that shit. Man, she would bitch, moan, screaming like, I swear to you, if I didn't know any better, I think Vicky Guerrero, before she got on national television, learned all this fucking all these manager tactics from Stephanie McMahon. I wouldn't be surprised by that whatsoever. I mean, holy fuck, they're very similar, and she does it even worse than Stephanie McMahon did. Damn. I can't stand her yelling. She almost made Orange Cassidy go deaf. Jesus Christ. What a fucking joke. Orange Cassidy, though, man, I'm feeling bad for him. He's kind of being, he's kind of like out of the shuffle here. He was all of a sudden in the world title picture. It looked like he was going to become something important on the show, but he's nowhere to be found. Jon Moxley actually wasn't on the show whatsoever. Very surprised by that. Now that I think about it, I wasn't even thinking about it while I was watching the show. I just thought about it while I was doing this review. But, yeah. Orange Cassidy was looking really good, and at this point in time, he's not really doing all that much. I mean, he didn't take the L in the trios, the 6-man tag team match with Matt Hardy's team winning, but he hasn't been doing much of anything. I'm very surprised by this. Orange Cassidy, in my opinion, really could be a future world champion. I mean, some people may disagree with me, and if that's the case, by all means, you have every right to voice your opinion here. That's why I always say leave your comments down below at the end of every video. But bottom line, I mean, personally, I feel that Orange Cassidy has that gimmick where he could get it over as a main event type player. I mean, he's the underdog. He's like a Daniel Bryan type of thing because of his height, stature, his disadvantage. He has some disadvantages to him based on his height and his weight. He's not exactly what you call a big buffed up guy like a Brian Cage, which was also brought up on the show. I mean, there's a lot of things about Orange Cassidy that goes against him and makes him the underdog, but at the same time, he's also got this great wrestling ability, the charismatic character that he has to get the people behind him. I mean, in that triple threat match that he had at Double or Nothing, the crowd was fucking pissed. He got screwed over out of the world title. People wanted to see him win the damn belt. I would have been okay with it, actually. If you really get down to it, I'd have been okay with it, but I know it was being built up for Hangman Page to win the world title, which I still believe is going to happen. Hangman Page was actually not on this show either. There are a ton of fucking talent on this show that was not there. That's crazy. There wasn't even an appearance by Eddie Kingston, Jon Moxley, nobody. All three of these guys were not even on the show. That's crazy shit. That's some off-the-wall craziness. I mean, fucking Kazarian was on this show tonight. Frankie Kazarian was on the show, but we didn't see Jon Moxley on the show? What the fuck? Damn, man. Who the hell knows, man? That was crazy, though. Anyway, the Young Bucks were backstage. They had basketball and a basketball hoop. They were going to reenact how easy it would be to beat the Jungle Express, as easy as a layup, and they tried to perform that. Matt Jackson goes for a layup and then gets blocked by Luchasaurus, and Jungle Boy makes one of his own, while Luchasaurus does a pick and roll, and Jungle Boy sinks a layup, and they go, oh, as easy as that, huh? Which I thought was funny as hell. And I think it was Nick Jackson. He says, hey, man, that was a foul. That was bullshit. He slapped my hand while I was trying to do a layup or some shit. I'm like laughing my ass off. That was a very funny segment. I actually liked that one. It's pretty cool. I mean, AEW every once in a while can be funny, but they do it in a very unique way where they're not insulting your fucking intelligence, which I enjoy. It's something that makes me feel, okay to watch. Anyway, a video package hypes up the AEW World Championship match for the women's between Britt Baker and Red Velvet. That will be the main event for Rampage on Friday. Bit surprised by that, but hey, it is what it is. Miro will be having a match as well for his TNT championship. Trying to remember who the fuck that was. I'm sure I'll come across to it in just a moment. He's not a guy that's on the roster permanently, so Britt Baker is in the ring with Tony Schiavone. Tony Schiavone actually had a light schedule this week with the whole interviewing in the ring type shit, so that was kind of nice for him. Baker gets a warm reception from the hometown crowd. Baker refuses to comment on Red Velvet's rise to the top. She states that she has always been at the top of the women's division, but she commends Red Velvet's fearfulness. She commends Red Velvet's fearfulness. So that's pretty much what she had to say. And she goes on to say she is the baddest bitch on the block. And Baker notes that she's Pittsburgh's hope. And Red Velvet doesn't have a shot in Brettsburg. Red Velvet attacks Baker, and the two women brawl until officials separate them at that point. We have a video package of Ricky Starks and Brian Cage discuss their feud, and the FTW champion tells Cage he can find him next week. The Machine tells Starks that a face-to-face confrontation won't go well for him. And that's pretty much that. Nothing major there. The Impact World Tag Team titles were on the line, with the Good Brothers defending against the Dark Order, which consists of Evil Uno and Stu Grayson. These two really need to get back on track with their tag team, because they were really good together when they first started out, and they've kind of totally went off the rails since they've turned into this comedy faction with the Dark Order, which I really have not been liking very much lately. Grayson dives into the Good Brothers during their entrance. So we get a full-on no entrance from the Dark Order actually shows up, but they attack the Good Brothers in the middle of their entrance. And Frankie Kazarian helped them out during the match, by the way. This match was very good, actually. I didn't have any issues with this tag team match for the World Tag Titles on Impact. It had Scott D'Amore on commentary, which was kind of interesting, so that Forbidden Door is still being open little by every month. We're seeing a little bit more of other performers showing up, other promotions, shows, or televised episodes. So that's pretty cool. But the Good Brothers win with the Magic Killer on Grayson and get the 1-2-3 at that point. So too bad for the Dark Order, but who was to expect the Dark Order to win this match? I don't think I was not expecting that to happen at all. A video promo, NWA World Women's Champion Camille hypes up her title match with Layla Hirsch. She says the whole world will watch her defeat Hirsch at NWA Empower. So we got an Impact Women's Championship match with Melina and Deonna Purrazzo. And then we also have Camille defending her championship for NWA against Layla Hirsch. I'm not really going to go out there and watch Empower, but good luck to him. Anyway, in the ring, QT Marshall demands an apology from Tony Schiavone. He instructs the Factory to attack Schiavone's son and Christopher, who's sitting in the front row. Marshall demands Schiavone to apologize, and Marshall doesn't accept it when Schiavone does. He drops Christopher with a cutter, and Paul White comes to the ring. This was actually a little worried. I was getting a little worried here. I was like, what the fuck is he doing? I was thinking Diamond Dallas Page was going to come out since he hit a diamond cutter. And he actually gave the diamond cutter thing with his hands. So I was like, oh, Diamond Dallas Page is going to come out. Nope, it was Paul White. Oh, fuck. It was kind of cool to see him. He didn't seem like he was taking up too much of the spotlight. He wasn't trying to make himself seem important. He just was defending his co-worker's honor, trying to give him, a little bit of help of getting these guys off of his back and not hurting his son either in the process. So that was pretty much the basis of Paul White. I don't particularly think we're going to see him doing anything important at this point. We may see Paul White perform in the ring against QT Marshall because of what just recently happened somewhere down the line, but I don't expect it to be a long, drawn-out type of situation where we see Paul White actually perform the ring like everyone else, like a Christian Cage or a Matt Hardy. I don't think we're going to see that. I don't think we need to. Mark Henry doesn't need to be in the ring either. But Big Show just being there interacting with some of the younger talent that's on the active roster on a week-to-week basis, him actually doing that was pretty cool. I actually enjoyed it. It was a nice change of pace, seeing a big name like Paul White in an AEW ring doing something a little bit in the ring was kind of neat, but I don't want to see him actually wrestling on a week-to-week basis or even involved in any of the big matches or anything like that. This thing with QT Marshall, I'd be fine with it, just a one-off matchup if that takes place. Be short and sweet, not on pay-per-view, Dynamite, just give him that spot. Might even boost a little bit of ratings for the few fans that Big Show still has. I know I called him Big Show, excuse me, but he always will be to me the Giant or the Big Show, not just Paul White. Paul White is just a fucking bland, boring name. So, excuse me if I once in a while call him the Big Show or the Giant or whatever. If I don't call him Paul White, please excuse me if I don't. But, yeah, this was a nice little thing. I didn't have a major issue with it. Just don't want to see him doing anything like, taking up spots and being there in the ring a lot like he was doing in WWE. Don't want to see that. From that point, well, give me a second to refresh this and see if they got any more updates. Because they don't have the rest of the show on there. It's kind of fucking stupid. So, basically, at that point, it was the main event. We already discussed that. Jericho and, Whatchamacallit. Jericho and Wardlow. Their match was good on account of the fans. The fans really helped that match get through some of the bad spots they had. Some of the work that they did together didn't really pan out as well as I thought it would. And Jericho looks pretty beat up. I mean, he's worn out to hell. That guy, if there is anything they could possibly do to make this guy look good, this was it, most definitely. If they even decide they want to give Jericho a second run with the world title after what he has done here in this Jericho of Labors chapters that he's done over the last 4 weeks now, you got to give him the credit, man. He definitely deserves to have a second run with the world title after the work he's put in. He's killed himself, man. You can see it. He is beaten up. He is worn out. He looks tired, exhausted. He needs a fucking break. And I think this matchup with MJF is definitely going to give that to him. I think MJF is going to win this match hands down and ultimately put Jericho on the sidelines for a while, I guess, to give him some time to recuperate, number one, because you can clearly tell after that match with Nick Gage, I mean, seriously, he does not look in the best of spirits right now. And I'm not saying like he's distraught or, down on himself by any means, but he just looks banged up. He needs time to rest. This guy has been through the ringer, and Nick Gage definitely gave him that, man. I think they should have given him a fucking week or two off because he looked banged to shit. This match here with MJF, like I said, they are going to go one-on-one next week, and the match is clearly about excluding the Judas Effect spinning elbow. So Jericho is going to have to win another way. That's why I'm saying this match is going to be MJF's match. He is going to win this match easily with no problem. I mean, it'll be close. He'll probably come close to tapping out, but won't because he'll manage to get to the ropes or some shit. But Jericho will end up losing this match, ultimately being taken off of television after an extremely bad beatdown. My thing is MJF. I could see MJF being the guy to beat Hangman Page for the World Heavyweight Championship once Hangman Page wins the belt. My prediction on when they should do that, probably at Revolution in 2022. I think that is the best time to do the title change. I think that would give Hangman Page some time to reign as world champion. It'll give him a decent title run. Probably the shortest one out of the bunch, though. But a title reign nonetheless. Kenny Omega, I believe he's going to lose that world championship at September 22nd's big event on Dynamite when they perform in front of a large-ass crowd in New York. I think that is going to be the best place for them to drop the title and have Kenny Omega pass that belt on to Hangman Page. I think Hangman Page winning it in front of a large audience like that is the big payoff that he deserves. Most definitely, and especially with all the twists and turns they've done with Hangman Page through the alcohol problem, the trying to fit in with a group, and finally deciding it's time to just be on his own and permanently stay that way. I think this is the perfect place for Hangman Page's win to take place. Most definitely. I don't see it any other way of taking place outside of that. I mean, you could have him win that match. You could have Bryan Danielson be the guy to be the first one in line to challenge him for the title if you want to do that. But I don't want to see Daniel Bryan. I'm calling him Daniel Bryan. I don't give a fuck. But if you want to see Bryan be a heel, I don't particularly like that idea. I think he would fit better as a face. So maybe scratch that off, not do that idea, but just have Bryan show up in a debut appearance. That would be cool. I think that would be an awesome idea. But overall, I think Hangman Page should be the guy beating Kenny Omega still at this point, just at the right place at the right time in front of the right amount of people. He needs to have that WrestleMania type of feel, being a champion, being crowned champion in front of like 50,000 people. And this is the place that he will be able to get that kind of reaction and have that amount of people witness him get his first big world championship title win in his entire career. And I think that's what this is all centering around, is that idea. They just need to get Hangman Page back on television for the next couple of weeks left over going into All Out. Give him a good matchup for him to have. Maybe you bring in CM Punk. You know, maybe CM Punk versus Hangman one-on-one will give him that extra boost that he needs to be able to claim a right for a world title shot, and him going into All Out and beating CM Punk. I mean, you could have Hangman Page show up at the United Center on the 20th, cutting a good promo, and then all of a sudden, out of fucking nowhere, CM Punk shows up, and he wants to be the first guy in line to face one of the newcomers in AEW, being Hangman Page. And Hangman Page goes over, wins the match against CM Punk. Yeah, I know it's debut match for CM Punk at All Out, but if you really think about it, if CM Punk goes in there and he's helping the brand build their stars by losing his in-ring debut match against a young comer that is going to become a main eventer eventually in the future, such as like September 22nd that I'm talking about, I think that's the best way to utilize CM Punk in that manner. I don't see that is a bad thing to CM Punk. I don't know why CM Punk would see that as a bad thing. He wants to see young talent grow. He should care about what he's doing. He should be going into AEW, utilizing his name to help others get over. That is the point of him at his age should be doing. Yes, eventually he should get a world championship run. Most definitely, there's no doubt about it, unless he's lost a foot or step or two. If that's the case, well, then they're going to have to wait on that until he gets himself back into wrestling, top-notch wrestling ability. But, and that could happen. You never know. I mean, he's been out of wrestling for fucking 7 years, man. His last match he ever performed in was at the Royal Rumble. Shit. And in the Royal Rumble, you don't have to do a whole lot of anything in that. So, bottom line, I feel that they have a really good, solid plan. I think that's pretty much their plan to go with at this point. I really would have liked to see them do Hangman Page winning at All Out, but I think they went for this audible, knowing full well that they're going to perform in front of such a large crowd that on September 22nd, that they want to give this opportunity to Hangman Page to win the world title in front of a crowd that you would see for a WrestleMania show. And I think that's what they want to give Hangman Page, that WrestleMania type of moment for him to be able to stand in the middle of the ring at the end of the show and hold the title above his head. If you really want to get technical, guys, I think that this show for September 22nd, just a one-time only, should be a 3-hour show. It should be treated like a pay-per-view because it is basically a fucking pay-per-view if you really want to get down to it. So, that's just my opinion. Let me know what you guys think of anything I mentioned on the show. Anything about September 22nd's episode, because that is going to be fucking huge as shit. So I'm looking forward to that one, and I am definitely betting on Hangman Page winning at that episode and becoming the World Heavyweight Champion. So at this time, guys, you know what to do. Leave your comments down below. Hit the like button if you like the video, and of course hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed to the channel. I thank you guys very much for watching, and I hope you have a great night, guys. Bye.